This is Jay Teaches Reading for All, Lesson 95D. This is a surprise lesson. It's a supplemental lesson with definitions to the words in Lesson 95. We had a lot of words, and I did not want to take the time when we did the regular lesson to give the definitions of those words. However, now I will. I believe, or otherwise I wouldn't do this, that most students can benefit from this. However, I realize there are some students that may not need this, and you teachers are the best judge. So you teachers make the make the decision. You know your student the best. Also, I realized when I looked at the video of the last lesson that I cut off a couple words weren't being shown on screen. So if you want to pick up on those words, even though you've decided not to do this lesson with the definitions, you can go to the end of the video and pick up those words for the student if you'd like to do that. All right, now we will get to business. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the words. I'm going to say the word. I'm going to give the definition. And after I go through a set of words, then I'd like the student to say these words to you teachers. So here we go. Caught. Caught means captured. The thief was caught trying to rob a bank. Naughty. Badly behaved. Some children are naughty during their terrible twos. Parents of any terrible two children know about that. Daughter. This is a female child of parents. Their daughter was young, only 2 years old. Slaughter means massacre, killing those who are defenseless, butchering during or after the killing. The crazed warriors decided to slaughter the women and children when they found the village unprotected. Taught means instructed. You have been taught the main skills of phonics, the regular phonetic sounds. Of course, now we're going into some of the ones that aren't too common. Teachers, press pause and have students read those words to you. Okay, now we're going to come to the OUGH combination, actually the OUGHT combination, where GH is silent, and the OU sounds like aw, not how. The first word here is ought, and it means should or necessary. You ought to finish cutting the lawn before you visit your friends. It's necessary for you to do that, or you should do that. Fought, this means defended against an attack, for example. The soldiers fought in the battle for several hours. Thought, this means consider an idea. He thought about the trip. His first thought was to travel through the mountains, but his second thought was going the shortest route by the interstate. Brought, took along. He brought all his camping equipment in his car. Sought, look for. She sought for a shoe store in a gigantic mall. She looked for it. All right, teachers, press pause and have the students read these words to you. Now, the silent GH and EIGHT. And the EI in this combination sounds like a long A. So we start with the word 8, and this is a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 80 is also a number, and 18 is also a number. Depending on the student, teachers, you may or may not have to give explanation there as to the meaning of these three words. Weight, this means a method, or heaviness, I should start with. Heaviness, the weight of the package was less than 5 pounds. Freight, now this is a method of shipping heavier goods. The cost for shipping these heavier goods is also the cost of the freight. A freight train was carrying hundreds of thousands of pounds of coal. So that train was carrying coal, and the coal is the goods for shipping. Sleigh, this is a lightweight passenger vehicle set on runners, pulled by animals, used for transportation over the snow. And a fast horse can pull a sleigh very fast over the snow. You might, teachers, have to give the students a picture online if you all live in a very warm climate where you wouldn't be talking too much about sleighs. The last set, here we have the H after a G is silent. So we have ghost, and ghost is a disembodied spirit. It doesn't have a body. You can see right through it. That house is supposed to be haunted by a ghost. And I'm sure students have seen enough of these ghostly shows that they have a pretty good idea what a ghost is. Ghastly is ghost-like. It's frightful. I thought I saw a fierce demon. It was ghastly. Ghetto is a section of a city where very poor people or oppressed people are confined. So during World War II, the Jewish people were sometimes confined to a ghetto in bigger cities in Poland. So they were confined to a certain section of the city. Ghana is a country in Western Africa, and Ghana is not the biggest country in Africa. Okay, teachers, have students say any of these words that they have not said to you. Press pause. Need to get this sheet on screen here, so I didn't have it all on screen. May have to make another pause. Now we're going with the silent G coming before an N. And I need to get my blocker. So the first word is gnaw. That means to bite away one small part at a time. The dog loves to gnaw on a bone. Gnarl, twisted or knotted together, usually referring to a knot on the trunk or branch of a tree. That tree had a huge gnarl halfway up its trunk. Gnat, a small insect with 2 wings. That gnat keeps flying around my head. It's very small, but it's causing me a big problem. Gnat. Gnash, to grind together. The giant was so angry he began to gnash his teeth. That means grind them together. Gnu, a large African antelope with an ox-like head, complete with horns. It also has a mane and a tail and is sometimes called a wildebeest. A gnu is really an unusual looking animal, and I mentioned before that you might want to go to the internet and get a picture of that. It's pretty hard to describe without the picture. All right, so teachers, have students say these words to you. Press pause. Now words with a silent B in them. And we'll start with the word lamb. I think most students know that a lamb is a young sheep. The farm girl had her favorite pet lamb. Comb, an instrument with thin teeth like projections used to groom hair. Also, it can mean the action of grooming the hair. So the girl combed her long hair with a comb. So you can be combing, that's an action, and you can use a comb, which is a thing. All right, then we've got climb, and climb means to pull yourself up or move up, especially using your hands and feet. It will take all day to climb a high mountain. Numb, without feeling. That shot will numb your finger so the doctor can sew that bad cut together and get stitches. So, dumb. Not smart. Some birds will fly right into a car windows. They act so dumb. Crumb. A small particle of something. That bird ate all the bread down to the very last crumb. Thumb. And I think everybody knows what that is, so we'll skip that one. Debt. Something owed by one person to another. Misuse of credit cards can put a person into debt. So they're going to owe a lot of money to a credit card company. Doubt, disbelief or uncertainty about something. She was in doubt about whether or not she should buy that beautiful ring. It was very, very expensive. Teachers, press pause and have the students read these words to you. Now we're going to look at words with the silent K coming before an N. And the first word is knee, and I think that one's pretty obvious. Knelt means resting on one or both knees. The soldiers all knelt before the king. Knit, to form thread into cloth by weaving it together. She knit mittens for all her grandchildren. That is a very nice grandmother. Knife, a cutting blade with a handle. He used a sharp knife to cut the thick rope. Knew, this kind of knew means understood, with your brain. She knew how to bake delicious cookies. She understood how to do that. Know, same kind of thing. Understand. I know how to tie 10 different kinds of knots. Knock, to hit with the knuckles of a clenched fist. I had to knock on the door for a full minute before someone opened the door. Knack. This means the ability to do something well that most people struggle with. So he had a knack of being able to juggle 3 balls of different sizes. Night. And gotta get that G in there. This kind of night, and by the way, if I cut off the silent K, that night is like day and night. But this kind of knight is a mounted soldier in armor serving a king during the Middle Ages. Sir Galahad was a knight in shining armor serving King Arthur. not. And of course, with the K off, this not means like no, we're not going to do this or that. But with the K here, this kind of knot is a tight intertwining of ribbon or thread or rope. It's easy to get a square knot loose if it's made from thick rope. Knuckle. Again, I think this is pretty obvious. You can give the student an example on your own hand. So, teachers, have students read these to you. Press pause. Now the silent W coming before an R in these words. And the first word is wrap, which means to cover something completely. Wrap that leftover chicken in aluminum foil and put it in the refrigerator. This kind of write is not like right or wrong. This kind of write means to form letters and words on something, usually paper, but it could be on the sidewalk if you're using a piece of chalk or something. So please write your name at the top of your paper is a sentence with a write in it. Wrote, same kind of thing, except it's in the past tense. Yesterday I wrote my name on the top of my paper. Wrong means not right, it's incorrect. Now I got 9 questions wrong and 20 right on my test. Okay, then we go to wreck. Wreck means to lash out angrily, to take revenge. When Dad had a bad day at work, he would wreck. I'm sorry, wrong kind of wreck. This kind of wreck is a crash. It's the most common type. Or something destroyed by a bad accident. I was giving you a kind of wreck that has an A in here, but I'm not going to get into that. It's used so infrequently. So that bad wreck involved 2 cars and a truck crashing into each other. Wreath. A wreath is a twisted, decorative band of flowers, branches, leaves, etc. The Christmas wreath on their door was very pretty. Ring. This kind of ring means to squeeze and twist, usually to get water out of something like a towel. He had to wring the big towel for 10 minutes to get all the water out of it. Wrench. Wrench can mean a sudden, violent twist or pull. A tool, or it could mean a tool used for turning nuts and bolts. He tried to wrench the wrench out of my hand, but my grip was too tight. So somebody had a wrench in their hand and somebody else tried to pull it out, wrench it out. So it can be used in a couple different ways. Wrath. Wrath means great anger, hatred. The wrath of an angry king can result in 1 or more people dying, being put to death. Rest. Rest is to pull something violently away. It's kind of like wrenching it away. It's very similar. He was able to wrest his wallet out of the hand of the pickpocket who was trying to take his wallet. And this is wrestle. And wrestle means to struggle in hand-to-hand combat, trying to force the opponent to the ground without using punches. He had to wrestle the bigger boy by using his quickness to escape being thrown to the mat. Now, this is what I didn't do last time. I did not get these last words here, but before you go to that, teachers, have students read these silent W words. Press pause. Okay, now we go to the silent T words, and the first one is castle. This is a large building, usually fortified with a massive wall surrounding it, along with a moat surrounding it, so that the only entrance is by way of a drawbridge. The king's castle was strongly fortified It was almost impossible for an enemy to break in. Whistle, this is a loud, clear, shrill sound done by forcing breath between the lips and teeth. He could whistle so loud you could hear it a mile away. Hustle, to move hurriedly and energetically. In any sport, the coach wants to see his team hustle. Rustle, this means to move in a way that things rub together and make a sound, not a loud sound, but quiet, irregular rubbing sounds. For example, the leaves would rustle each time the wind blew. Jostle means to bump or push, usually while in a crowd. The people in line would jostle one another as they got ready for the store to open its doors on Black Friday. Often, frequently, she would often go for a swim when camping by the lake. Listen to hear. Children should always listen to their parents and obey their parents. Hasten means to hurry. She would always hasten to clean up the house if she thought her dad would be coming home soon, because that was her job. Okay, teachers, have students read any of these words they have not read to you yet? Press pause. Okay, so now I can say for sure that we're going to have lesson 96, 97, and 98 coming up. So we will be dealing with a lot more very unusual sounding letter combinations. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. See you in lesson 96, 97, and 98.